everyone. Welcome back to another Canada Immigration Live Q&A. I am Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, and it's Wednesday morning again. So today is the day where you get your questions answered for free. It has been a long time since I've been doing this, and some of you have been watching me for years. Some of you past clients, you past alumni of the Canadian Immigration Institute and the DIY courses that I offer. It is so cool just to see people who pop in years after they become permanent residents to say hello, shout out. This is an awesome community, and it is an absolute pleasure for me to host this. So what is the Canada Immigration Live Q&A? It's your chance to come on, ask a question that is of general interest to everybody in the group, and then I will give you the answer. And in many instances, I will actually show you where I got the answer. So we have screen shares, we pull questions on, and so as you're connecting in here, and we'll just wait for people to connect and tune in, I want you to post where you're tuning in from. I love to see all of the people tuning in from all over the world, and we've already got people popping in here. We've got DeBottom, hello, over in Mississauga. We've got G2D2 over in Tunisia. This is fantastic. Almo's over in Kenya. This is fantastic. And you can see Canada, Tunisia, Kenya. Please post where you're tuning in from. And as we go forward here, as this starts to connect with all the different social media channels, we will then see people tuning in from Facebook, from LinkedIn. And Navdeep says, is 475 a good score to apply? Any score at this stage, you guys, is a good score to apply. Navdeep's over on LinkedIn. We've got Baji's from Abu Dhabi. Hello. We've got Alva down in Peru, South America. Thanks for connecting in. We've got Christine is over watching from Scarborough, Ontario. Himanshu, hello to you, is over on Facebook. Eugene's watching on Facebook as well. It's really cool. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Yet to see someone on Twitter. Mariana, good to see you, tuning in from Toronto. We've got Thelma is over in Nigeria, Africa. We have Thesura from North York. Yes, alumnus of the Canadian Immigration Institute, frequent follower. Abish, good to see you. Hello. Navdeep says, when do you think the next draw will be? Probably in about 2 hours, Navdeep. And the biggest question of all is, what do you think, Mark, the draw is going to be? And it's entirely possible that it could drop down as low as even, well, low. It's kind of relative, right, you guys? But it could be 496. Maybe. It's possible, right? If you look at the scores, it's possible. Depends on how many they extend, if they do a no program specified draw. All right, we got Masood, who's watching in Dubai. Oh, now he was watching in Dubai. Now he's watching from Moncton, New Brunswick. Awesome. Hello, Masood. Good to have you here. Abhishek's over in London. Now, Abhishek, is that London, Ontario or London, England? That's the question. Hello, John. Thanks for your question mark. Hi. Is it like hi or is it hi? The question mark. All right. Jackson, he said that he is from Cameroon, and good to see you, Belen. Good to see you. Let's see who else we've got here. This is one of my favorite parts of this. Nisha is tuning in from Toronto, and Amit is down in Virginia, frequent viewer. Good to see you as always, Amit. Thanks for connecting in. Okay, John says tuning in from Baltimore, Maryland. Welcome, U.S. connection. We've got Puneet, who's, I'm assuming Puneet, maybe you're over in India or you're in Canada, but hey to you too. And Ambashek, London, England. Excellent. Thanks for confirming. Okay, and then Navdeep's throwing in, do you think 475 anytime soon? Human capital alone, Navdeep? I don't think so. I'm not sure. If you flip over here, let's take a look at our screen. This is the rounds of invitations. And if you scroll down here and we look at the last draw, it went down to 500. And then we look at how many people are in the pool. And you can see all of these would have been flushed out as well as some of these 6,000 because it went down to 500. But I think legitimately, when you look at the scores here, if there's 6,000 in the pool here, it's entirely possible it could drop down to maybe 496 if they were to continue doing rounds here. But if you look at 475, which is down here, you can see how many people are in the pool ahead of you. We've got like almost 20,000. So for it to get down, and understand that a lot of people are not putting their profiles in the pool, because they don't think they have a chance, Navdeep. But we don't know what Minister Fraser, this fine fellow right here, is going to be doing. Is Minister Fraser going to start those strategic draws that are occupation specific or maybe class specific? We haven't seen CECs for a while. That will also dictate this round of invitation levels. Okay, great question, Navdeep. All right, this is kind of fun. I'm trying to like stay on top of it. I know I'm not going to be able to. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Who do we have next here? Flipping through. We've got lots of comments coming in. Nisha is over in Toronto. Hello, Nisha. And let's see who else we've got here. So Amit, we got Virginia, Baltimore. We've got John. Hello. Abhishek's in London. Okay. We've got Meet Shaw. Hello to you. Anthony's over in Etobicoke. Hello, Anthony. Welcome. And those of you in Ontario, I hope you're not. Oh, this should be during lunchtime for you guys. So that was kind of the theory. But those of you who are in Vancouver, it's like 9 a.m. And those of you out in Atlantic Canada, it's 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. So hopefully you're not skipping out on work to watch these. But if you are, well, thank you for your sacrifice and don't let your boss catch you. Okay. All right. So we'll get to questions in just a little bit. Oh, successful failure. Well, hey, that's good. I've done a lot of those in the years. I've had a ton of successful failures. Big love for you, Mark from Toronto. Thank you so much. And yes, Amy says, good morning, Mark. I'm turning in my resignation on Halloween, counting down the days now. Well, good for you. That is awesome. Amy's got his PR is completed. He's getting ready to finalize it. So that's fantastic. And that reminds me, you guys, I have planned something that is super, super fun. And you have to go to the YouTube channel to check it out. So I'm going to pull it up here and I'm going to show you. If I flip over to my YouTube channel here, look at this, you guys. So if you look at the scheduled posts right here, this one right here, on Monday, we are going to be doing a special live. You guys better check it out. At 10 a.m. right here at this time, called our Immigration Horror Stories in honor of Halloween. So horrors of Canadian immigration, boo. That's Igor. He's got quite a funny way of doing things. So he's the one who sets up the videos. But yes, you guys, this is, make sure that you check out and click on it when you go to the YouTube channel and then click on notify me. And then you'll get notified the moment we go live. But it is going to be fun. So spooky misrepresentations, horrific refusals, terrifying procedural fairness letters, and many other ugly Halloween stories that relate to immigration. So join us. There's going to be all four of us lawyers, myself, Alicia, Chanel, Cedric. We're all coming live for the first time, all of us. So make sure that you check that out on Halloween. It's going to be a hoot. It's going to be so much fun, and I cannot wait. All right. Now, Deep says that helps. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay. Happy New Year from India. Hello. All right. Yes, Anthony, that's true. The perks of working from home. Yes. You get to watch Mark's live immigration Q&A every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Okay. All right. So big shout outs to everybody who's watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. And just a few rules of engagement as we jump into this. When you post your question, it's really, really important that you do it in a way that is of general importance to everyone. So as I'm scrolling through the questions and I'm finding ones to pull out and answer, we can't get to everybody's. That's just a reality. But what we can do is highlight the ones that are going to be the most benefit. So even if you didn't get your question answered, I can guarantee there's going to be something on here that's going to be beneficial to you. Now, it's a potpourri. It's full of anything related to Canadian immigration. But once you start to dive into those areas of very, very specific issues that relate to your unique circumstances, I need facts. I need information. And I can't get that alone in just a short little, whatever it is, 200 character limit that often your various platforms restrict you to. So when you have a specific question, that's why I will ring this little triangle bell and I will say, come to our site and click on speak to a lawyer. And you can then from there choose one of the lawyers in the firm that you can book a consult with. And they are all excellent. So if you look here and you click on book a consult with me, you can see that availability is, I have availability for tomorrow and the next day. Today is completely full. Got a whack things going on, but I do have availability. So if you wanted to book a consult for tomorrow, you can see I am open season. Oh my goodness. I better turn some of this off. Okay. Yeah, we're good. I'm going to be away in the afternoon. I think I have the time blocked off. So you shouldn't be able to connect in there. Oh, that's Thursday. Let's see, Friday. Okay, yeah. Oh, I was having a heart failure there because I have Friday blocked off, but Thursday's open season. So I've opened up my consults, and the lawyers in the firm, the same story, because we know one thing I've learned over the years as we go through this process, one thing I've learned is that you guys need answers now. You don't need answers in a week. So booking a consult, waiting a week to speak to someone is just not something that's going to work. And that's why when we're doing this, we have all of our lawyers with their schedules available so that if you are trying to book a consult, there's always going to be someone that's available to help you. Okay. And I didn't hire these lawyers, just because I was trying to find the cheapest option. Each of these lawyers is highly experienced and expert in the work that they do. And I shouldn't say expert. Scratch that. Can't say that. Law Society says no. They're not experts, but they are focused exclusively in immigration. And like Alicia and myself have been at this for over 20 years. So we've learned a few things in the process. All right. So Canada Live Q&A is all about getting information, answering those questions, sharing tips, giving you updates, letting you know what I think the future of immigration is going to be, and answering your questions. So let's dive in and get to those questions. There are super chats. So people that want to get a question answered and want to bump themselves up in the queue, they don't want to sit and wait to see if I'm going to answer it. Super chats are a way to get your questions answered first, because I will address those first, and then I will continue to work through. So if you got something that's urgent you want to ask, a super chat will get it through. And then otherwise, I try to work sequentially through the questions that are being posted. So starting now, post your question, and in front of it, put a Q. Can I do this? A Q. Is that a Q? Q. Put a Q in front of it so they know it's a question, and not just some helpful little tip you're giving someone else who's asked a question that you're actually answering within the feed. Okay? All right. So let's jump in and let's get to some questions. All right. We did touch on a few, like Navdeep says, do I think the score will go down to 475? Okay. Rajesh says, I'm in Canada on a visit visa, oh my goodness, for the last 1.5 years, and again applying for a visitor record. If I can apply for super visa within Canada, my son is a PR in Canada. Okay, so Rajesh, it is possible. It is to apply for a super visa from within Canada. As long as you meet the requirements, yes, you can. And that's one of the exciting things, right, Rajesh? The super visas and the changes to the rules. Let's see if we can pull it up here, just so people can see. So Rajesh is obviously a parent, and he has his son that's here in Canada. And the government had some recent announcements about extending the ability for you to remain in Canada on super visas. And let's see, I'm trying to look to see if the newsroom, RCC parent super visa extension, I'm just going to pull up quick so we can look at it together. Sometimes it's hard to find those policies. Okay, here we go. So I think this is kind of the notification, which is kind of cool. So this is what Rajesh is talking about. So if you entered Canada with a valid super visa before July 4th, then you can see here, if you want to benefit from a longer stay, you'll need to leave Canada before the end of your authorized stay and re-enter Canada after July 4th, 2022. So this is what you're referring to. So the border service officers may grant you a length of stay of up to 5 years if you still meet the eligibility, or here's the key, you can apply to extend your stay in Canada and be approved for an extension of up to 2 years within Canada, and you can continue to apply for those extensions. Now, the question becomes, and this is the question that Rajesh was asking, is I've been here, and you indicate a visit visa, and I'm not sure, Rajesh, if that visit visa was a super visa in the beginning, but generally speaking, there's a way to navigate around it. But as always, this is a very specific question. Can I apply? When it's that, then I ring the bell, and then I direct you to jump back here to our website and book a consult with one of the immigration lawyers in our firm. And then we can actually help you to navigate that process. Okay. Next, following the rules of engagement, Manzoor has a question, a Q in front of it. I was admin assistant and then promoted to a law clerk. Both knock B. In your course, do you have a letter explaining both works? I'll show you guys something, because I've got the course going right now. And the cart is still open for you to connect in and join us for the remaining sessions. But if I go here, let me just pull it up. I'm going to show you what I have in here, because people ask all the time, well, what resources are really in there? What is really beneficial that I can't get somewhere else? There's so much free information out there. And that is why we're doing the Halloween horror show on Monday, talking about our recent horror stories, our scare stories about people who book consults after filing applications themselves. So, or following WhatsApp groups, or just choosing the wrong representative. So as you go here, this is what the course looks like. And if I go to mastering your documents, this whole module is full of sections, individual sections on every type of document. If you go to records of employment, the question here was, in your course, do you have a letter explaining both works? So what I want to show you here is, in here, you will see that I have a number of different tools, record of employment checklist that you can give to an employer to make sure your references letter is good, what to do if you can't get a reference letter, sample letter template. I have a knock selection tool. I won't get into that, but look at this. 1, 2, blah, blah, 10, 20, 30. I have over 30 sample reference letters. And in there, you will see these are all real life reference letters. And all of these folks are all permanent residents of Canada. But you will see multiple times where people have multiple positions in the same company, and they're listed in the reference letters and instructions on how to do it. The course alone will walk you through step by step, but I also have master classes associated with it, and I have another one tomorrow at 8 a.m. I did one this morning at 8 a.m. It was awesome. So there's still time to slide in. And I think in the description of the videos, you can still connect in. The material, if you subscribe now and you join, and you've missed out on the master classes, sometimes I will actually allow you to bump to the next group to get your questions answered. So boy, those of you who purchase the course, who have time to go through the lessons, then you can queue up all of those awesome questions. And that's what makes the master classes so awesome. Okay, let's see what's next here. Okay, G2D2 says, hi, Mark. I just submitted my PR application as an FSW out loud. How can I know in which visa office it will be processed? Thanks in advance. You can't really right now. Remember, within electronic application, within that world, your application can literally be processed throughout the global network. Now, ultimately, when the landing happens, typically we see that the application is directed back to the area or the region where basically where that services the country in which you live. But generally speaking, it could be processed just about anywhere. Okay. All right. So successful failure says, hello, Mark, applying for permanent resident, spouse residing outside Canada, and after that spouse open work permit eligibility, or should I apply for visitor visa sponsor currently in Canada? That's one of these that I ring the bell, success for failure, and I say, book a consult so that we can navigate that and actually give you advice. We'll need a whole lot more facts. Okay. Law says, hey, I did a 1-year program in Canada and I don't want to do another year. Is there any possibility I can get PR with 1 year of study since I can't afford a second course? Here's the challenge, right? 1 year is just really tough to be eligible. In a perfect world, if you've got a job, you're working in it, and the moment you file your postgrad work permit application, you've already started working like right on that exact same day, there might be a chance that you could get and accumulate the full 1 year before that permit expires. Then you may have an ability to be working with a great employer that says, hey, I'll give you an LMIA, and then you can extend the time and be able to do that. But the reality is, it's something I never, ever recommend for people. And you guys saw that in my TR, the ministers, that video that I did with the ministers' last recent announcement. Let's see if I just jump in here. If I go to videos, hey, we're over 44,000 subscribers. Hey, I didn't even notice that. That kind of crept up. Okay, so if we look here, we go to which one? This one here. Okay, yeah, this one here. Interesting. In here, the last 6 takeaway is just talking about students, international students, and the reality that I really don't like 1 year programs. So I understand the situation. Remember, you guys, that you're going to be able to work full time while going to school. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. School is so important. And when you compromise your grades, you can't get stellar grades in university or college and work full time at the same time. It's just really, really tough. And so I've got huge reservations about that. I guess the one advantage is if you want to work full-time hours, like on the weekend, and maybe exceed the, you work Saturday and Sunday, you work 8 hours a day there, that's 16 hours. And then you work maybe a couple shifts during the week, then you could exceed the 20-hour limit. But anyway, so that's a possibility too. But the only thing I can advise is just it really consider getting the 2 full years of study, because it's going to be really tight, really tight. Okay, Ross says, any news for permanent resident programs for PR, especially in Ontario, since competition is so tough here? Well, one of the pieces of advice that I gave in that video is that you shouldn't go to Ontario, because of that exact reason, because there's so many. So no new news. It's still the OINP. There's no CEC as of yet. We'll see what happens with the minister. If I go here to our site, sometimes it's fun when I'm doing this, and then I just refresh the page. Sometimes it changes right on the spot. October 12th, no change yet. We're still October 12th. Actually, do you know what? I could probably clear my cache here. Let's see here. If I clear my browsing data, clear the data, and then try to refresh her. Let's see if this works here. Dun, 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 dun. Wow, that's really slow. That's taking a long time. Okay, let's try now to refresh and see if that makes a difference. Nope, no change. Okay, so no announcement right now. All right, but we'll see. We'll see. What did I say? Maybe 496 would be the lowest if they did a large draw. We'll see how it plays out. Okay, bottom says, hey, Mark, just submitted PR application under CEC and got instant AOR. What is next communication to expect? Well, it just depends. Have you completed biometrics? Sometimes if you need updated medical, sometimes they will ask you to do that. Hopefully for CEC, in your case, the next response will be, hey, we finished processing your application, and you're going to start the process for your e-landing, with the e-Coper. That could very well be it if you had everything up front. Okay, Bellin says, do you have any client who already got PR if they received an ITA from July 2022 up to today? Will these PRs get issued in 6 months? It's entirely possible. So I think there's a string of people with the BCPNPs that had filed, excuse me, and got their applications done in really just right around 3 months. So it's entirely possible that we could very well see that. I have had one client outside of Canada, once again, a PNP, that had reported back to me that they'd gotten theirs in their passport request in under 6 months. So it's entirely possible. It just, yeah. And one thing we are seeing is that the government is getting very, very smart now. They are finally getting it, that it's far better to underpromise and overdeliver than the opposite. And what I mean by that is they are often saying, and let's just pull this up again. I love to show you guys stuff. So if we go to IRCC processing times and we pull it up right here, you will now see, and I spoke with this fine fellow oh, he's not on here. Where are you? There's the minister. I spoke with this fine fellow here in, I think it was February, when I was still on the national executive, and we talked about the challenges of the processing times. And they continually listed express entry. So if you go to express entry, it's usually either federal or Canadian experience class. They continued to list this as 6 months all throughout the pandemic, when clearly it wasn't 6 months. And I said, this is not helping anyone. I said, you need to put real time in here so that people have the ability to determine for themselves whether or not, they should sell their house or get ready to move. And so you can see it says 17 months here. Well, those PNP based CECs from BC, they were being processed in as little as 3 months. And if you go to PNP here, it'll give you the option of express entry. If you say yes, and then you search it, it says 15 months. So, and, outside of Canada, same story. So really what you're looking at here as we're navigating our way through this is the reality that now they're under promising and then over delivering when the applications are approved. Okay. Abik says, what's the possibility of getting PR from the UK without an Indian passport, without job offer, and work experience only with master's certificate? Well, I don't know. Sorry, UK with Indian passport. It's all based on human capital, Abhishek, and I strongly encourage you to book a consult, link below, and we can talk about your specific situation, because there may be multiple opportunities for you or multiple directions that I would, direct you to. Okay, Sarah says, I studied 3 different 1-year postgrad diploma courses in Canada. Would this be counted as cumulative 3-year courses or 3 1-year courses? Appreciate your effort and valuable inputs. So when you're, now I'm just trying to understand, is this for the purposes of, okay, is this for the purposes of the postgrad work permit that you're applying for and how many years you're going to get? Because obviously anything over 2, you're going to get 3 years regardless. Or is this considered to be for the purposes of express entry? Because if it's express entry, and when you stack courses, you can stack those to then get, say, like if you have 2 1-year programs, you can stack them to get the 2 years that you need. So really the third one is irrelevant, but to get the 2 and then be able to get the 3-year postgrad. And then when it comes to express entry, if that's what you're asking, then each program is just going to fall onto that, the hierarchy of points based on the level of the program. All right. So, okay. Andres, good to see you over in Toronto. Rodrigo Alves do Nascimento. Good afternoon to you, Rodrigo. Okay. So Jackson says, I've applied for express entry several times and they keep saying I'm ineligible for express entry. What should I do? Book a consult, my friend. Click on the link and let's go through it and see why. Okay, Himanshu over in Facebook says, parent-grandparent applicants are being picked from previous pool. Yes. This trend will continue till that pool is finished. Not sure. We don't know what immigration is going to do on that front. Okay. Juan's waiting for his PR card for 3 months. I sent web forms, called IRCC, but they don't process my card application. I have a trip with my family in 20 days. I will ring the bell. Book a consult, Juan. I do have a contact within the PR card processing, to see if we can search where your card disappeared to. And they've been pretty good at responding. But it just, if you want to book a consult, Juan, we can maybe look into that. Juan says, can I re-enter Canada without a PR card? I have a visitor visa. No, that visitor visa will no longer be effective once you've completed the landing process, which you have. Yes, we've had Johnson here is asking about Bill C-19, replace the current express entry draws, limiting them only to knock-based draws. Minister has the power to do a whole host of things, including the status quo. That Bill C-19 became effective. So there's lots of fear-mongering that people are making that the minister's going to go to only occupation specific. And it's entirely possible that he does go down that route. It's possible. But it's also possible he does no program specified, that he does CEC only draws in the traditional way. So he has the powers to do a lot of different things. Okay. All right. Okay. So Johnson says, my wife got a job as a nurse. Please, after getting work permit, how long does it take to get PR? That, my friend, once again, is a consult. We'd have to go through that and look at the programs. They're all different. So there isn't one answer that fits all of that. All right. Mohammed says, what's the process for people who are in Canada with their express entry PE application is approved? Do we get, and I'm not sure if that's PE or PR, maybe that was a typo. Do we get a passport request mail or do we get some kind of a portal request? How can we proceed after that? When you're in Canada, you go through the eCOPA process. They send you an email that says, hey, send us your email address and we'll send you instructions where you can log into our portal. So then once you send your email, then they send it back and then you upload your photo and the other information, your address and things like that. And then you get your eCOPA, which is an electronic process. So no need to go to the land, the port of entry or anything to land. That's the process for in Canada. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. We got a big long one. So this one here, I'm going to pull it up just to let Ask Me know, but I'm going to click on the triangle. And once again, I'm going to say, please book a consult, because this one is just a little bit too involved to be able to answer here. Okay, let's see. CI says, if someone currently lives in a country with no legal status, in U.S. overstaying visa is not considered a crime, can they apply for express entry from that country? Possibly. And if you think about it, Well, I've talked at length about one of my employees, Igor, who had an issue with the U.S. because he hired a bad immigration lawyer and in the U.S. and they botched the situation, but we were able to successfully get his express entry. It was definitely a challenge, but it is possible if you do it correctly. CI, recommend you book a consult. Okay, Jaspreet, CRS score 492. I don't think this draw, but maybe could be coming soon. Okay. Okay, Sharon. Yeah, this is a great question. Can you shed some light on the parent-grandparent program? When likely will they take in new applications? We don't know. I can't shed any light for you, but I can trust you. The moment I hear any word, I will let you know. Manzur, you're welcome. Okay. All right, let's see what we have next. I'm just gonna make sure I don't have any supers queued up. Oh, let's see here. No supers yet. Okay, let's keep zipping through these. Try to get down to where I left off. So many questions, so many questions. Okay, let's see here. Just about to the right place. Okay. All right. Okay, and yeah, and I just want to point out, so Sri Krishna here says PCC issued August 31st, 2022. Canada travel to India, home, month, vacation, server. Okay. Do I need to reapply my PCC as my travel is less than 6 months? Okay. So the reality is police clearance certificates. I'll take this opportunity to give you the general rules. And where can you find the general rules? It's pretty easy. You slide over here, you go to the IRCC completeness, check express entry. It's this page right here. Okay. And then you scroll down and you go for police certificates. And we're just going to scroll right down to the section. So you will see here that you need to provide an updated police clearance for every country, obviously, that you've lived in for 6 months or more in a row. The reality is, if you have lived, so for applicants in their current country of residence, then that police clearance must have been issued within 6 months before, no more than 6 months before the submission of the EAPR. And so what that is basically telling us is that if your police clearance certificate was issued, okay, and then you spent any time in that country, then it's only going to be valid for 6 months from the date it was issued. If you obtained it after you left and you haven't gone back, then it doesn't expire. And that's essentially it. Okay. All right. Looks like I've got a friend here who absolutely has to come down. Come on, let's go. Okay. Say hello, Mr. Simba. You say hello? Look at there. Oh. Okay. Hop down. There we go. Okay. back at her. So that was Simba, and he is my Labradoodle, and he likes to hang out in the window, look outside, but every once in a while he gets tired of sitting there. So he quietly paws at me till I let him out. All right. Okay, let's keep going through here. Let's see what's next. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Okay, Manzoor, you're very welcome. We've got that. Okay, we answered that one. Belen, you're very welcome as well. Okay, Torian says, Mark, after you send in your passport in for TR stamp, how long before you get it back? That's another one that entirely depends upon the visa office, VFS or the VAC. It's, usually it doesn't take more than 2 weeks. Sometimes it can take up to a month. It just depends. Okay. Yes. So CI, yes, this is very common. I recommend that you book a consult and we can look through that. So as far as chances, I can't tell you. CI says a couple studying computer science, infotech in the US have overstayed their visas for many years and want to apply for express entry. Do they have a slim chance? That really is a consult. Okay, let's see. Next major update be released? Well, we know that the next major update for express entry will be in November when they roll over the new tier system, which they are all committed to doing. So the NOC 2021 is going to be new, and it will require me to update some of my course material in the express entry step-by-step course. And I think a lot of you are very well aware of that course. I talk about it a lot. I love it. It's a fantastic course. Anyway, so I will be doing some more updated videos for that. Okay. So why don't, this is a good question, RS, why don't Canadian employers hand out LMIAs easily if there is indeed a labor shortage? Don't you think that employers should at least consider job seekers with a valid express entry profile? Well, there's job shortages, but they're strategically placed, and not all employers are looking for maybe employees that have your background. Why do they? It's not easy. There might be a shortage, but the LMIA process costs them all $1,000. And there's a tremendous amount of effort and work that's involved with that. So you have to appreciate that, yeah. And that's why the ones that do, there's enough of them to make it a huge problem where these scams are out there, where you guys, that really, really troubles me, where an employer says, sure, I'll give you an LMIA, give me $35,000 to cover your wage, plus a little tip for myself, and then I'll create your job for you and I'll pay you and I'll go through the LMIA process. Corrupt, awful, horrible. Never, ever, ever do you ever want to get into that situation. And if you do have someone who is being exploited by an employer or a consultant, an agent, or I guess even a lawyer, if they are, although that lawyer would be disbarred pretty quick, and they do get disbarred. Ultimately, when you're going through that process, it's critical that, or if you see that process happening, that you disclose it, that you tell on that person, because I'd love to shut those employers down, because they're getting a competitive economic advantage against good employers, and they're putting them out of business because they're filled with people that are working without getting paid properly and that are basically being exploited like slave labor. Don't get me started, RS. So anyways, LMIAs, it's far more complicated than just that, but I hear where you're coming from. Okay. All right, Divine says, can I apply for a study permit while I'm on a postgrad? Just got postgrad approved in September. Study is based on job requirements. That's when I'm going to ring the bell. The reason is when you're a full-time student, it can invalidate the work experience you're gaining. It has the potential to do that because work experience under the Canadian Experience class, it can't be counted while you are in full-time studies. That's what the regulations say. So there's an argument to be made that potentially an officer could disqualify. So if you switched over to a study permit and you're working, but like I said, it's complex. There's a lot of elements to it. And I recommend that you book a consult. We can sort through that. Okay, let's see what's next here. Ramila over on Facebook. Hello, great to see you. Okay, Manzur says, so I started my work on a specific date, but the profile only allows month and year, but that it was calculated 2 years, but if calculated in date to date, then my 2 years will be finished in December. Yep, it rounds up, right? And that's an issue that many, many people face, Manzur. And ultimately, if you are to get an ITA and they're giving you more time than you really had at the time the ITA is issued, immigration has repeatedly indicated, although they never released a PDI, which irritates me, and that's a program delivery instruction, that if you wait until you have those 2 years, then you're going to be in a position where you have the ability to, like if you just wait until you actually accumulate the full 2 years and then submit your EAPR, then you're going to be in a much, much better position. Okay. Okay, let's see here. I'm just going to close this out. Okay. All right. Moving on to the next question. Let's see. Debran, hello from Argentina. I don't know if you guys know, but my son Connor is down in Chile in South America serving a mission for a church. I don't know if I have a picture of Connor. I haven't showed Connor for a while. Let's see if I can find. He usually is pretty good about sending emails. So let's see if I can find. Oh, Connor. Sometimes he's good at sending photos that he is hilarious. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull up a little image here. It's kind of fun. So this is my Connor. I can't help but brag about my son here. There he is. Oh, you can see kind of a portion of him. Let's see. Can we get more of it? Oh, we just got to scroll it down. So there's Connor. So there's my son, Connor. He is down in Chile with his, this is one of his mission companions. I'll throw this one up too here, and we'll shrink this one down too. So there's There's him and his mission companion. And that's my son Connor. If you remember, my other children, Jessica, she served her mission for our church. She was in Indiana, and then my oldest son Adam, he had to come home a little bit early because of the pandemic, so he was only gone for 18 months. Connor's gone for 2 years. Anyways, Adam served his mission in Suriname, so Suriname down in South America as well. So, but he learned to speak Dutch. So there you go. There's a little update on Mark's family here. So yes, Connor, man, I miss that kid. He's been out for over a year now. Hard to believe he's on the downhill. Okay, continuing on to the next question here. We'll pause this one. Okay, next, let's see. CI says, thank you so much, Mark, for being here and asking our questions. Maybe you don't realize it, but you are helping us a lot. You make a huge difference. Do you know what, CI? The reality is I know what I'm doing. I know that I'm doing things that most people don't do, answering questions, helping people. And, there's a number of reasons why I do it. One is because I had an experience back in 2014 before Express Entry was created. I was working on a working group for the Canadian Bar Association when Express Entry was being launched. IRCC sent out the proposed regulatory provisions, and I was on a working group that was dissecting them and offering feedback, providing a legal submission to them on those provisions. Well, in the course of reviewing what this program is going to look like, I realized that many of the Filipino workers in Alberta, in my home province, were going to be in a real big problem. They were going to have a huge issue. And the reason is because many of them were on post-grad work permits and they were not going to be able to get an invitation to apply. They qualified for CEC with their 1 year of work experience, but their human capital scores were probably going to be around 200 or 300 points, and it was just going to be too low. So I started writing blog posts. I started to post them on my site in an attempt to warn people the top 5 things you need to do now to prepare for Express Entry. And I don't even know if that still exists. Top 5. I'm always curious as to what the life is of these blog posts. So top 5 things to do now to prepare for Express Entry. And I'll even put Holthe on there. Let's see if it exists. Well, it's in my podcast. I don't think historically it's out there still. So I think of all of the things that are out there, probably the podcast, this original episode of the podcast, your chances of early selection. So you can see I released this one. Yes, I was a little bit younger back then, you guys. I released this one. I updated it April 2017, but it was originally released, I think it was in 2014, I believe. Anyways, so long story short, this is where it started. And so I started doing the podcast in an effort to try to reach as many people as possible to help them. And the reason was I started doing consults. I wanted to do back 6-7 years ago, as many consults as possible to help people. So I did them back to back for, I think, $100. My office in Calgary, it was just lined up day after day with people looking to book consultations. And it was heartbreaking because every person that I talked to, there was nothing that I could do to help them. They were in a situation that if they'd talked to me earlier, we could have avoided it. But people that had spent so much money in school to come were working in crappy jobs, putting up with awful employers. Many of them were Filipinos who were just bringing so much benefit to our province, but we're going to miss out. And whether they were working as a food service supervisor or a cook or whatever it might have been, they were going to miss out. And so I do this to try to help people avoid those problems long before they ever run into them. I created the Express Entry course to help people to know exactly what they need to do, and added the masterclass on so that people would know exactly where the problem areas were and avoid them. And it's hard, right? It's hard in a world where there are so many voices out there. Every day I have consults with people who make mistakes. They're innocent mistakes and they don't know what they don't know. Then there's other YouTube channels out there that are posting these, how to submit your express entry profile fast. You can do it in 9 minutes. And it horrifies me. It literally horrifies me that they've got, a channel that's over 100,000, that, 60,000 people have watched this video and are like, oh, thanks so much. That was so helpful. Well, there's a big difference between throwing something together and submitting it and not knowing why they're asking the questions that they're asking. And then you enter something in that results in you getting your application returned as being incomplete. That's something that's a smaller consequence, or refused outright, or you being found to have misrepresented yourself. And these people who are offering this advice that are not legally trained, that are not immigration lawyers, that have no training in the background, it's scary because the fancy videos make it appear like they really know what they're talking about. And I'll be honest, you guys that are watching my channel, the vast majority of you know more about immigration probably than them, but they give this impression that it's easy and that you don't need to seek help from anyone. And that if you do, that somehow you're lesser, or that you are, that you're not as good as someone, not as smart as someone. And I can tell you, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what, whether you're a professional, whether you're a tradesperson, the express entry process is far more complex in a sneaky way than you could ever imagine. And this week alone, I've had, we're Wednesday. I think it's hard to remember all of them. At least 3 consults I've had with people who did something improperly on their application, their express entry, and got it rejected. And I'm scrambling to try to help them. And they were small things, little things, but there were things they never would have probably known or realized. And so that's why I created the course. That's why our firm, that's why we represent people. And as immigration lawyers, this is all that we do. And our collaborative review model is designed specifically around you guys. And yes, we're not cheap. We're not. You can find cheaper options out there. But what we do is we make sure that when you file that application, that you're not missing things, that you're giving yourself the best chance of success. And no, we don't advertise 100% success rates. We don't, because I can't control what an officer is going to do. I can only control what we're going to do. But I tend to be like a doctor. Like when you go to a specialist doctor, after the GP does the work, he looks at you and says, oh, this is beyond my pay grade, then refers you to a specialist. Well, in many respects, that's the kind of thing that we are. And I do consults with consultants who have difficult situations, and that's the nature of our firm. So I know I took a little bit longer to describe this than I intended, but it just breaks my heart because there's so much misinformation out there. And that's what I'm trying to debunk. I'm trying to create a channel where people will actually get the answers that they need. And you can see it's hard to break through. I think right now I have 74 people that are watching live, but I wish it was 5,000. And that's where I rely on you guys. So if this is of any support or help to you and you feel like it's worthwhile, then please share it and subscribe to the channel and come and join me on the lives if you're watching this as a recording. And like I said, this October, we're going to share on the 31st, this Monday, Halloween Monday, we're going to have a special live with all the lawyers in the firm. We're all going to go live together, and we're going to share our horror stories, our scary immigration stories about people's lives that are being destroyed because they either hired an immigration representative that was just bad, didn't know what they were doing, or didn't care, right? Or people that misrepresented, or they hired someone that was a crooked agent, someone that was overseas who wasn't authorized, and then they just left them out to dry. Or worse yet, they relied on a YouTube channel like this, and hopefully you can see there's value in this, but just a random one that someone does who went through the process themselves and considers themselves experts. So I won't talk about it any longer, but it's hard for me because I see it all the time, but I can't share it because of solicitor-client privilege. I wish I could share the person's story, but I'm restricted from doing that. So I have to talk in kind of generalities. Anyways, there you go. So thank you, CI. I appreciate it. I think we've got some supers that have come in. So let's just hit this one. Okay. So Sukdeep says, I don't remember the exact address of a place I stayed 9 years ago. I'm going to give you an applause because this is a fantastic question. So I don't remember the exact address of a place I stayed 9 years ago. That place is in India and over 4 hours by flight. I have to provide 10-year history after ITA. Please advise me, what can I do? Well, Sukhdeep, this is very common. It's something that I cover in my course and I teach my students all the time. When you're completing your address history, your obligation is to get it right, is to use your best efforts to ensure that you have the correct information, the exact address, and the dates that you stayed. Okay. You don't want to guess. Now, with that being said, there reaches stages where I can't remember every place I lived in for the past 10 years. And, even the dates kind of seem to be a little foggy. Well, your responsibility is to do the best that you can. And then the secret sauce, or as I like to say here, and I'm a farm boy, the gravy on the mashed potatoes is the letters of explanation. And in the course, I have some samples that I give individuals, a template that I believe is as good as you can get, that will help you to describe your situation in a way that an officer can easily understand it and then realize, okay, no issues, and move on. The most important part is to get your country right and your city right, and try to get your times right. If the actual address isn't perfect, then put an address in that you think it is, because you have to fill it in. And then once you've got it filled in, then provide a letter of explanation to say, hey, I did the best I could, but I can't remember the exact address of that, place I stayed, but it was to the best of my ability. It was here in this location, and that's how I deal with it. Sukhdeep. Okay. All right. I've got my little dog. Boy, this little guy. Seriously, Simba. Okay, come on. I'm like his stepping stone here. I'm his footstool here to jump up. Okay. In the past, I actually had a Simba cam. Maybe I should set that Simba cam up again. Okay, let's keep zipping through here now. I'm going to go down. We have just a few more minutes to answer a few more questions. Let's see here. Okay, this is another Facebook. So this is Ramila. She says, if my daughter's work permit expires, good for you, being a good parent, taking care of your kids. I have 4 children. Anyways, Ramila says, if my daughter's work permit expires and she doesn't get an invitation for PR through the Express Entry program till then, can she reapply for an extension of her work permit, and for how long will it be reissued for? The previous one was issued for 3 years. So Ramila, for post-grad work permits, if that's the work permit that she has, the general rule is that you cannot extend them. We have seen that Minister Fraser right here has instituted, well, there was one issued last year. I think it was Minister Mendicino that did that one. I'm trying to remember. But an 18-month extension to give and buy more time for individuals who, for reasons of the pandemic, were not able to get the work experience, and because IRCC has not been issuing rounds of invitations for CEC draws. Many people are in that situation. And now we've got another one that's valid. And I actually have, in the Canadian Immigration Institute, I have an actual course on how to apply if you have not yet done it. Most people have, but in the Canadian Immigration Institute here, you scroll down, spousal, right? Oh, I went through it. This right here is my post-grad work permit 18-month extension course. And so this walks individuals through step-by-step how to apply for this permit, but it is only eligible for people whose post-grad work permits are expiring between September of last year and before, well, basically December 31st of 2022. So Ramila, it becomes an issue. It's tough. It's tricky, but no, you can't, there isn't a way to just extend a post-grad work permit. Now, there may be other options like LMIA-based work permits. So I recommend that you book a consult and let's talk about it and see if we can plan now well in advance to see if there's some things that can be done proactively. There's nothing worse when people's work permits are expiring in 1 week and then they contact me and ask for help. And at that stage, there's very little that I can do. So proactive in advance is the way to go. All right, just about to the end. And let's just jump back here. So we're just about to the end. Okay, anything on tier system says video therapy. If you go to our website, we have a ton of content on our blog page. And if you go here, you will see that we have what should you do, what should you be doing now to prepare for tier implementation on November the 16th. So Alicia has written this wonderful blog post that you absolutely need to look to. She is super, super awesome, Alicia. And so in here, you'll see within this November 16th, Cedric put it together, but Mark and Chanel and Alicia, we each have identified specific things related to this that you do not want to, that you don't want to miss. Okay. There's other blog posts, the automated process for visitor records, new rounds of invitations, how you compare a strong application, common mistakes for express entry, when will the CRS drop under 500? All of these videos are all available for you to get assistance. But I want to point out, and I'm not sure if this will show up, lately this search button has pulled it up and then it disappears. Let's see if it'll stay here and I can catch it quick. Okay, right there. I'll close it quick. Oh, I got it. So this one, written back in June, is the new tier system and how it works for express entry. And I encourage you to go check it out. Cedric and Chanel have some great resources on here, but we know that some of the provinces anyways are shutting down and not issuing nominations until they've got it sorted out. Okay, we got another super that jumped in here. This one is from Ibrahim, and let me just make sure I've got this. Sometimes you guys do the super. Okay, so Ibrahim says, hey Mark, if I forgot to include my IELTS report in the education placeholder in my EAPR, is it a big deal? I'm not sure which one. Then you say that once a COPA is issued, its validity is same as medicals, but how can that be true? The processing time is 26 months. Okay, so here's how this plays out. So I'll answer the first one for you, Ibrahim. So the first one is pretty simple. The IELTS is actually not a mandatory requirement in the EAPR. I always include my language tests and I include my ECAs with my education when I upload it. I do, just as a matter of course. And the reason I do that is because once I had a consult booked with me for someone who had their application refused. It was refused because IRCC had asked them to upload after they'd filed through a document request. They asked them to upload a copy of their IELTS. I don't know if there was suspicion about maybe it being fraudulent or whatever, but she uploaded it, but she didn't formally submit it. There's 2 steps to that process, which I teach in my course. When you upload your documents, you actually have to click continue to submit it. And she didn't do that. So she didn't respond in 7 days. And so the application was rejected. So I can't personally see any reason why not to include it. But if you didn't, it's not fatal. Okay, regarding the express entry FSW, they say that once a COPA is issued, its validity is the same as medicals. But how can that be true if the processing time is 26? Well, if it's 26 months, they will always ask individuals to redo their medicals very, very often. If they're outside of Canada, FSW, they will ask them to redo the medical and then they issue the COPA. So that's how it happens. They do have the ability to extend through an administrative decision, but generally speaking, that is how it works. Okay. I don't think we have any other super chats, so we'll wrap it up there, you guys. This was another really great live Q&A, but before we do that, let's take a look. Is there another round of invitations? Let me see if I can refresh it. Not yet. And usually it comes a little bit later. Usually it is a little bit later. So I'm not surprised that we don't have rounds of invitations yet, at least unless someone has found it and I haven't missed it. Okay. Okay. You're very welcome, Ibrahim. You're very welcome. Okay, guys. There we have it. Another great live Q&A. And remember, if you have questions and you didn't get a chance to get them answered, if you go to our YouTube channel and the other locations, you can see tomorrow, we'll be right back at it. Alicia, it's her live tomorrow that I host for her. Some of us are more tech savvy than others. Alicia is the ones with the brains, but I know how to work the tech stuff. So in her situation, I host that for her, but this is her live Q&A. But then we also have Cedric, and you can see Cedric has been doing his live Q&As as well. And they're at different times so that it accommodates for all kinds of different people. So, and then on Monday, make sure that you click to notify me at the scheduled start time. So make sure you click on that and get notified tomorrow at 11 a.m. Alicia will be going live answering more questions about express entry and Canada immigration. And so definitely check that out and join us. And as always, in here, you can search the channel. All you have to do is click on the search button and you can pick whatever you want. So if you want self-employed, right here, work experience, you click on it and you can see all the videos associated with self-employed work experience. And I've done a ton. over the years. So don't hesitate to reach out and look at all of that. The other item that I will point out, of course, as I've been talking about the whole time, is our website, Holthe Immigration Law. We are Canadian immigration lawyers. So there's 4 lawyers that work in our firm, and each of those lawyers, information about them is all on the website. But come here if you want further information. So what happens if things are not going well? Then you need legal help. We're here. Business immigration. If you're a corporation, we do a lot of work for global companies. Lots of cross-border work. Family sponsorship. We've got a section entirely devoted to all of that. If you're visiting Canada, super visas, visitor visas, business visas, and then studying, information on study, and immigrating, tons of information on the programs associated with that. So come here. It all starts with speak to a lawyer, and we'd love to work with you, all of us. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in today. It was awesome. Another awesome live. You guys are fantastic, and it wouldn't be possible without you. Thanks for listening to me as I chatted about some of the heartache that I've seen and the heartache that I've experienced. And so I appreciate you connecting in. And and ultimately, why do I do this? Well, it's for comments like this. Sukhdeep, thank you so much, sir, for your efforts. Thank my Lord that there are people like you in this world. Much gratitude. Well, that gratitude goes both ways. And the hope is by doing this, people will say, hey, Mark and Holthe Immigration Law and those lawyers, they're just different. They do things different. They care. And it looks like I have got a consult coming in. So I better jump over there and get to the consultation. All right, guys, take care. Thanks for joining me.